after resting a few days after a tiring day from the afternoon. In the game, CEO Moonyob, who is relaxing at home, looks happy with joy as his hands shake when he sees the total balance in his bank account. The money is in now. Which club should I buy? The shirt that accidentally saw CEO Moonyob was losing came up to him. Banking. Not before that. How are you really planning to buy a club? Staring at his smartphone screen that was showing Korean players playing battle with a smile on his face. CEO Moonyob confirmed, yes, we'll use this opportunity to develop my hobby while investing a little. Seeing CEO Moonyob, who was already chuckling with his wish, he said, if that's what you want, you will be able to do well. But that's because clearing out excess money, buy it. Tell me I'll buy you a League 1 club. That's the best thing I can do for you. But it seems that CEO Moonyob didn't like what he said, which is exciting. I'm actually asking you for money. I already know about GKI1 in the second Caddy League. But is that more like a destination? Hearing that, Bikiho explained that Seoul is a league consisting of 7 people from one team. The best Hiho becomes 2. Like a regular league consisting of 11 people. The league system is the same, but the winning team of 7 can move up to more than 2 with some conditions. It's low, so in terms of cost effectiveness, so is better. According to that explanation, CEO Moonyob asked, really? But were there many players there who had time to sit on the edge of the sofa? It continues naturally that the regular league has more talented players, usually prefer kayaking and 2 compared to the Champions League. After thinking about CEO Moonyob's explanation of being happy, CEO Moonyob finally made his choice. Then I'll just have 2 clubs since we're talking about it. I'll just buy it now. Seeing CEO Moonyob, who has already made his choice, he asks, do you already have a target? CEO Moonyob casually answered, not yet. Should I just ask the real president? Shortly after that, CEO Moonyob immediately contacted Jinty and immediately told him his plan. After hearing CEO Moonyob's plan, CEO Moonyob Park Jinta, who was too happy, suddenly shouted from his phone, it's good to be the owner of that club. That's a brilliant idea. But CEO Moonyob was even annoyed because of his scream. Hi, old man. My eardrums are about to explode. It feels like talking, just relax. So that's why I'm asking, but are there any excess on sale at the moment? Then Mr. Jinta answered, there are 3 advantages currently being sold. There was also a club that issued an urgent sale. While taking a file from his desk, he gave out the information. Time passed. After CEO Moonyob received information from Mr. Jinten about the club that was being urgently sold, CEO Moonyob immediately visited a battle venue. He is competing and excess of his concern is Hanjong Industries. When CEO Moonyob entered the place where the match was already sitting on the stage, the audience looked very excited. They gave up. Kai cheered his proud team on, go guiding, destroy that trash. Those Baekjehoger zombies who always refused to come out, even though they were always in the last position. In case CEO Moonyob felt put down, there were people who would pay attention to him in such a disguise. But of course, that's just CEO Moonyob's feelings about him, as CEO Moonyob does, but see himself as a weirdo. When CEO Moonyob was sitting in the audience among the gay lovers, they immediately talked about it. What's with the bracelet? Why did his face turn out like that? But it would be nice if there was at least one competent person here. After a while of waiting, finally the players from both teams entered the arena. The players from Club GTA were seen walking by themselves and greeted by shouts at the GP lovers. In contrast to Jeong's complaints, the players looked gloomy and not a single pencil of complaints walked towards the arena. While Trash also said that word kept coming out of CEO Moonyob's mouth when he saw a substance player that didn't match his standards. But after some rubbish finally, a friend saw a player who he thought was interesting. A player named Namgung Jae-hoon. And the real no before the match started. The screen in the arena started to show the positions of the players showing it. The kids also commented on it. So the skinny one supports him with superpower like Pro Tech was invited. Suitable to be support, but his skill attributes that indicate his weapon techniques and skills using his body is 74 out of 95 points. He has great potential to become a pretty great dealer. Choose the unlucky one unless someone sees his potential. He would forever lie without knowing his true talent. Okay, the next loss are 87 and 85. He is in reality with the person named Chow Yun from the national team. His superpower is also quite good, although his boarding strength is quite marketable, but his personality is quite big. Alright, you also passed, but apart from the 2 other people earlier, that's dregs. I have to be grateful because at least I got 2. Are they reserve players? CEO Moonyob's attention was distracted by several people who were cheering from the sidelines of the arena. But he suddenly couldn't hold back his laughter after seeing one of the reserve students starts. What the heck is that one superpower jam? Is he really a flea? but I guess it's not so bad if he's an archer, even though archers with that start won't be too threatening. But if lonesomeness can be increased to 100, it seems to be interesting. An hour passed. After that, the match ended with the victory of gold in the national team from 2 sets. Han Jong couldn't score even one, which made CEO Moonyob comment, "It's even more exciting to develop them." So CEO Moonyob has made his choice. He calls Jintai and tells him, "I have made my choice. I will buy Hanzio." Time passed 2 days later at the Korea building. CEO Moonyob was seen attending a handover ceremony for his club in a room. In the organizational building, the owner of the complaint previously shook CEO Moonyob's hand while saying how many words. "Then I will hand over his team to you. Those users have suffered a lot because of my incompetence." CEO Moonyob firmly answered, "Don't worry, I plan to make them the greatest team." Young superiors continued, "I believe in you. You will definitely be able to do it, Mr. Hero Yo. I really wish you all the best." So now CEO Moonyob has to become the owner of the Hanjong Industries Club. The news also began to spread in newspapers and mass media covering Battlefield, which was also accompanied by comments from netizens. Love the clicks that keep questioning every move you make. After finishing the event in front of the social building, the Korean battle at Mr. Koman met CEO Moonyob to congratulate him. "Congrats Moon with this when you officially become the owner of the club." "That's nothing. Bikiho, CEO Moonyob, good luck." Or you're congratulating people just because that person bought General. Hearing CEO Moonyob's words like that made Jintai immediately approach him. "Hey, I congratulate you on being the owner of a club. It's different from streetcars like snacks. So how are you going to operate my team?" He says, "I will just let them do what they have been doing for now. I wanted to find some players first." Jintai also agreed that he thought it would be good to leave the matter to normal people, because Kang Pallet Park had already brought his motorbike. CEO Moonyob also said, "By the way, because this matter is over, I went first to see the new motorbike." Jintai asks, "Did you just buy it?" While riding his sports motorbike, CEO Moonyob reasoned that in the future I will be traveling a lot, and it's a bit strange if I have to continue to hitchhike you all the time. I bought it with the money I had left over from buying the club. After saying goodbye to Mr. Jintai, he immediately left him quickly. He spurred his iron horse on the highway. Can motorbikes really enter toll roads in Korea? Of course not. This is special for CEO Moonyob. Apart from using a motorbike on the highway, CEO Moonyob doesn't even wear a helmet. Of course, the people who were driving there were very surprised when they saw someone driving a motorbike past his car on the toll road. What kind of Bikiho wants to avoid motorbikes on the toll road? But after the motorists saw that CEO Moonyob was riding the motorbike, their attitude immediately changed, which was angry. Now they are happy to understand it. It looks like he bought the bike with his compensation money. That's CEO Moonyob. He's free to do it. He's also above the law. That way the police would know it was him. Yes, you can do that, CEO Moonyob. After a while riding his motorbike, finally CEO Moonyob arrived in front of the Hanjeong Industries headquarters. But it seems that the headquarters is in accordance with CEO Moonyob's inspiration, where the condition of the building looks a bit worrying. Although CEO Moonyob looks a little disappointed, he can still think positively, at least the building is big. When CEO Moonyob was paying attention to its use, suddenly someone approached him from behind, or outsiders were not allowed. But his attitude immediately changed when he saw CEO Moonyob turned around to see him. "I didn't expect you to visit this afternoon. Club owner, I heard you just took over this club today." Hearing his self-introduction, CEO Moonyob instead thinking differently. His body is pretty good. Is he superhuman? Eyes of analysis. According to my guess, this can be a pretty great support. If he becomes an active player when Coach Choi wants to say something, I'll ask first. "So how old are you?" Confused. Why did CEO ask that? While scratching his head that didn't itch, Coach Choi answered, "I'm 43 years old, born in 1980. But because Coach Choi doesn't want to admit it, CEO continues to emphasize a bit. And his words are true, so I was born in 76 and you were born in 80 seconds, right? Because CEO Moonyob had suppressed it so much that Coach Choi especially had to use it. Then before continuing from now on, I will call you brother. Choi, you can also call me Hyung. Alright, Choi, I want to go around this building, so guide me." It seems that Coach Choi is still reluctant to call CEO Moonyob as Hyung. He feels more comfortable calling him the club owner. That way Coach Choi guides CEO Moonyob. Facilities at the headquarters range from offices, canteens, gyms, dormitories, and others. That's the cracks of the existing facilities, and the number of files here are 14 people. CEO Moonyob said, I already knew when I bought it. We really lack players, but fortunately CEO Moonyob, the facilities needed are here. Even though it's already rusting, Coach Choi wants to add that the land is really wide. So CEO Moonyob has the most important things available, and the last one is the training center. Coach Choi also shows the room where they keep the modules for practice. While looking, see the condition of the room and the modules, but commented that this one is also big and old. But why are there only 11 modules here? Don't we have 14 players? According to the question, Coach Choi's expression suddenly changed. The price of the module was too expensive, so we could only buy 11 units. Looking at the level of the green plate like that, CEO Moonyob thought, why is this person acting like a poor person? Even though he has super healing powers, right? Just work in the hospital. Even though I don't really like him because he has superpower to recover and inspire him. He's not that bad to be a trainer, and because the biggest problem right now lies with the players. Then CEO Moonyob said, okay, let's chat with the players. Of course, the coach was surprised by CEO Moonyob's sudden request. What is this all of a sudden? CEO Moonyob continued, yes, I want to meet them right now, so call the people I ordered. Although Coach Choi was surprised by that, he still carried out his orders and called several of his club's players to meet in turn in the lounge. Sometime after that, after one of the students met CEO Moonyob in the lounge, CEO Moonyob explained that he had heard the news, right? Your new club owner. Hearing that, the player who was standing in front of him, CEO Moonyob, immediately corrected himself. My name is Lena Yoon. It is an honor to meet you, Mr. Club Owner. While observing his physical condition, CEO Moonyob thought his body was small. He really looked like a flea. Then he asked, looks like you're practicing using a bow today, huh? Suddenly the same question made Lena surprised. Wow, how could you know? Continuing, I'm CEO Moonyob. I can tell something like that just from the calluses on your fingers. You must be worrying a lot, huh? Because your skills won't improve no matter how hard you try. But think impressive backstory and speedy, but strange that keeps him from being a great millennial, because your skills are lacking too. What CEO Moonyob said, he looked desperate. CEO Moonyob said, no problem, I'll make you appear in the owl lineup. Not only surprised, because CEO Moonyob said that he could come up with that concept too, increasingly making Lena confused apart from the initial up concept. What was that loudly saying from now on? You will become a thief who steals the mentality of the opposing team. When Lee was beset with confusion, CEO Moonyob asked again, you can't improve no matter how hard you practice, right? It's time to hear a question like that himself. In fact, he gets even more nervous if the one who admits it. Isn't he going to be fired later, right? Seeing Lena, who was sweating more and more, CEO Moonyob immediately calmed her down. Don't worry, you won't be fired. Right? Hearing CEO Moonyob's words alluding to his talent, suddenly Lena asked, maybe my talent is archery. But CEO Moonyob scolded him because of that question. Are you stupid? What kind of player can't use a bow? Hearing CEO Moonyob's words like that, Lena couldn't hold back her tears. Her innocence became CEO's material to bully her. Then CEO Moonyob continued, your talent is not something like that. Your talent is running. If you only focus on running and combine it with the superpower clock that you have, what do you think will happen if you manage to tell the enemy by shooting your bow will be able to steal a kill? Monsters that even your enemy team has a hard time grabbing. And if they get angry, they chase you. If you can just rely on your speed and run away from there. After hearing CEO Moonyob's explanation, CEO Moonyob Lena asked, Ran, what do you mean? I will act as controller. CEO Moonyob also confirmed that it was true. But you have to only focus on controlling the field, because if it interferes with their hunting, then they won't just let you go. But even if they try to catch you, you won't get caught because of your speed. In short, play them this game, it's always like that. I'll tell you about the training later. So if you just need to run like your life depended on it, new heroes will join the real match after speed up to a certain point. Due to Lena's naive nature, without hesitation, she asked CEO Moonyob, if I do what I will really be able to become a core player. CEO said, for sure, if your performance is good, you can even get into the national team. Hearing that he looks happy, he was excited like a little boy who kept asking the same thing to his parents. Is it really this is true, right? While smiling, CEO also convinced him that it was true. Lena's mind was now filled with the possibility that she could become a national team player. Because of that, she jumped up and down and thanked CEO Moonyob. Thank you very much, I will do my best. CEO Moonyob told him to go and call Jian to face him. After a while after Lena's departure, someone knocked on her room door. When CEO Moonyob told her to come in, Jahoon immediately introduced himself. "It's an honor to meet you." I held Jahoon in the support position. CEO Moonyob looked back at the condition of his PC while thinking, "This is the first time I've seen an emaciated person among superhumans." This team really had some weird players, but one that felt weird was because he was just observing himself. He also tried to open the conversation. "I heard you called me to talk about something, but why?" Before he finished his sentence, CEO Moonyob immediately cut him off. "You are no longer supported?" Of course, CEO Moonyob's words made me flinch. "What but I support?" CEO Moonyob emphasized. "I said you're not support. But it seems that Saving is the type of person who cannot understand if he is only told 1 or 2 times." Casually denying CEO Moonyob's words. "But I'm a support, is there something?" CEO Moonyob cut his sentence again. Not only that he couldn't hold back the itching anymore. "You're not a support anymore, I told you, isn't it?" Even though he had heard the pearls of wisdom from CEO Moonyob, he could still think calmly. Why did he suddenly follow and then say that I'm not support anymore? What's this guy? After being silent for a while, a friend said, "From what I saw, if it is more suitable as a mile, you have marks on the bar of the sword." I'm not saying this perfunctorily, but again surprised by CEO Moonyob's words. "Have you seen wings and matches?" Hearing this actually before the source looked the other way, CEO Moonyob answered him. "Do you think I'll be able to take over a team without being able to see things like that?" But immediately denied it. "But my dexterity and reaction speed were very low." Friends say it's because you are too dependent on your superpower. Before CEO Moonyob said he had again denied it. Support isn't that bad either. It makes CEO Moonyob's tongue itch again to get his pearls out. "Stop going against my word, or if you know more than me." Because he felt the incredible discrimination from his words. But even that could only answer no. The source of the joy that began to be filled with sweat. But saying "I really hate support," 9 out of 10 support doesn't fight and just stays behind. Which means that in the end the partners fight until they are burdened by one person. But 1 out of 10 that person can be a support properly. Because they have at least 2 superpower supports. Even if they just stay behind, they can do their job quite well. But if you only have a protect, that's why I will give you a weapon. But suddenly concluded, "So you mean you will make me a support that can use a sword, right?" Hearing him continue to fight with his position as support annoyed CEO Moonyob. Why do you really want to be support? Or maybe you're afraid to fight in front because you already apologized. You can't be successful if you have that mindset. If you want to be successful, listen to me. Then he asked if I did what exactly. He succeeded. As both finally shake hands like real men. Done with the meetups, the coach, Choi Dong-jun, meets Soo. Soo instantly orders Choi to grab a swordsmanship instructor to teach Namkoon Jahoon, as his new position is melee dealer. Soo will also teach Lee Ni-yoon how to run, so Choi needs to prepare himself for that. He also orders Choi to get the endurance of the first squad kids that got pushed back against GT Knights do below endurance. Now, he prepares to leave the clubhouse considering what to change the team's name to. The next day at the Beck residency, he is tense about something. An uncharacteristic trait of Soo Moonyob. Beck Jiho tries to converse, but he tells him not to talk with him. Jiho asks him, as he is not even watching a drama. Some tension may be due to the Hanjong Industries team going around. Jiho tells him there are only 14 players, and he will get only what is necessary. This gives Soo Moonyob an idea, and he recruits some players for his team. So, he calls Choi Dong-jun to add some new players to the roster. But Choi adds that the funds should be tight enough for that, so promises to buy Choi a module 2 if he gets some players, as in the eyes of Soo, they are relatively cheap. Although angry over his cheapskate behavior, he orders Choi to start recruiting players for the next 3 days. Soo Moonyob grabs the balcony railing and jumps down while still talking on the phone as if nothing happened. The dude does elite level parkour as if he breathes air. Choi raises another problem. Since they are a 2nd division team, 3 days are too few. But Soo Moonyob says he has an idea for all this. Soo Moonyob gets out of the mansion and addresses the journalists and reporters waiting for him with their armada of questions. He plans to answer all their questions but has a request for them in return. And the request is that his team publicly recruit players for 3 days, so they must write that they are looking for many applicants. Just like the careful citizen he is, Soo Moonyob picks up a call from Choi Dong-jun while riding his bike. And guess what? The resumes are flooding in, although not as high as Soo expected. But still, they receive 70+ resumes. And that, too, when it is not even transfer season. He tells Choi to get the resumes because he will do the selection independently. Soo Moonyob gets to the office and is presented with all the resumes. He starts picking up the resumes one by one, and he checks the mentioned stats on each sheet of the individuals, as they have the physical stats of the player. Munyób is frustrated by the trashy stats on the resumes. Also, he cannot judge the individual potential by looking at resumes alone. Nonetheless, he still digs through them to find worthy candidates, and Jo Sung-ho catches his eye this way. Munyób likes his ability to deliver objects and his view to another person, but he is merely 1.5 times better than an average Olympic medalist. The day of recruitment finally comes, and the interviews finally begin. The first interviewee is Kim Jin-ho. Although he played Battlefield in high school, he dropped the game after graduation. Soo inquires that maybe he has changed his mind. But Kim is only here to see Soo with his own eyes just because he is a die-hard fan. Munyób instantly tells him to buzz off, and the gloom in his eyes becomes prominent as his hero is agitated by him. He tries to blackmail him by exposing this behavior of his, but Soo, a bit mad, shuts his yappy mouth up by throwing a stapler at him. The guards remove the unconscious kid, and he orders the next candidate to come in. Jo Sung-ho walks in, and although Choi Dong-jun raises some concerns regarding his lowly stats, he immediately asks why he is interested in this guy. Munyób knows well enough that although his physical stats are of no use, his 3 superpowers, to deliver objects to a known target within 3 kilometers, to deliver a vision to a known target within 3 kilometers, and to deliver aura to a nearby target, will prove to be vital. The Deliver Aura superpower is rare and has a high tactical use. He probably does not know about this power since it has yet to be awakened. Considering Jo and Ni-yoon, the combo might become explosive, which might be crossing his mind regarding the team. Munyób asks Jo Sung-ho that he is only a delivery driver in his career, which means he has never played Battlefield. He denies it and says that the delivery driver is his only occupation. Stucky further asks what motivated him to apply here even though his stats are not top-notch. Jo Sung-ho replies that he is well aware of his garbage stats, but becoming a Battlefield player is one of his childhood dreams. And as the saying goes, no dream is too big and no dreamer is too small. Initially, he used these low stats as a reason to give up, but now he is applying with more sincerity than anyone else. A guy with a proper aim till the end. Now, Munyób asks if he can use his object delivery power when he is far away. He agrees and says that he can do a max of 2.5 kilometers, to which only Soo knows that he can do a max of 3. Soo further asks him about his transferring procedure to a target he cannot see. So Jo Sung-ho tells him that he senses their general position by spreading his aura within his ability range and then making contact with them. Ultimately, he still needs to search for them manually throughout the area. On top of that, he can use the ability to scout as well, making him more than useful for the team. Soo finally finds the nun who can help the saint. With that said, Jo Sung-ho is finally in the team as he will become a perfect partner for Lee Na-yoon. And from now on, the team will center around these two people. So the Thief Girl and the No Young One team throws a party to be led by their new owner, Munyób, and to a new start. They drink to all their liking, and the atmosphere is energetic here. The team captain, No Young One, approaches Munyób, although his stats are too good to be on this team. He thanks Munyób for investing heavily in the team. He swears that the players will give their best and not disappoint him. Soo only says they should feel free due to him as he is not looking for instant results right now. No bows his head in gratitude and is hopeful for future guidance and cooperation under Soo. Soo understands that No is perfect to be a leader from his demeanor. From the corner of his eye, he also sees that Lee Na-yoon and Jo Sung-ho are getting well together. Soo calls the both of them towards him. He calls both of them a set menu, so they need to be friendly with each other. Even more so, turn them into lovebirds. Soo explains to the set menu that in the drama a dark nun controls the background and is critical for giving information. In short, Jo Sung-ho is that nun here. He ends this conversation, too, as he will tell them the details later. Now, his attention shifts to renaming the team from Hunjeon Industries. He asks for everyone to be attentive as Soo announces the name. And the new team name is. Fast forward 3 months and the team name is decided to be YSM. It is their first match after the change of ownership. In the locker room, Munyób reminds everyone to do as practiced, especially for some No to stick to the tactics. So now is finally showtime, as everyone moves out to show their 3 months of training. Munyób has invited Mrs. Jaiho to the first match, and she is grateful to watch her first match in a long while. She has sometimes watched Hyun, but not in matches starring Jaiho. Jaiho has only told his wife for the team to get better before she witnesses them. She then asks if Soo and his team are better, and he only tells her to look forward to it. The match will be super entertaining, because these are kids from his own backyard now. The first set begins in the Wizard Canyon. It is a serene and beautiful place, full of places to have land, air, and water battles. And it requires complete adaptability from the players, rather preferable for tourism than life or death. In a flashback from 3 months ago, Lee Na-yoon and Jo Sung-ho are showing extraordinary advancements in their training. As both have been handpicked by Soo Mun-yob, the coach praises Soo for his finds but only tells him to focus on the players and take good care of them. Soo further tells the coach that Lee Na-yoon will get better by fixing her running posture, and she might as well start playing real soon. And during battles, she did show her prowess, as she successfully stole kills and ran away without breaking a sweat. This only leads to the other team with a broken spirit. Soo praises Lee Na-yoon for her excellent work, but this only makes her even more anxious, as she was a permanent sub for the lowest ranked team in the 2nd division. With the promise of becoming a core and national player shortly, this only makes her overthink many things, and this thought process is even going on mid-match. Her teammate calls her during the match, and she only returns to reality shortly afterward. He asks her if she is nervous, although it is prominent, but she tries to deny it. He still calms her down, citing that it is ought to be like this. He claims it is ought to be nervous, but one should not doubt their skills since the leader of 7 heroes believes in Lee Na-yoon, and she will be the reason the enemy team will lose spirit. And since they are playing with the name of Soo Mun-yob on their back, they are technically moving around with the name of a deity on them. They will give it their all and hold their names high. Now, they initiate their tactics and move ahead. They are using the 4-4-3 battle strategy. The vanguard of 3 is not hunting, but instead running across the dungeon. It might be a particular tactic. After climbing some rocks in the air, they suddenly stop. Here, Sun-ho uses his power to deliver objects to find the opponents and their locations within his range. Once his scouting is complete, he finds out the 4 players. Park Jong-hyuk, Choi Young-hil, Young Yoon-di, and Im Jae-wook all run above the trio. So, Lee Na-yoon prepares to use her jumping superpower and ambush the unknowing enemies. She performs some acrobats and reaches them, only to witness the enemy team fighting monsters. They are fighting out against giant fire-breathing wyverns. As the opponent team finally goes in for the final blow, Lee Na-yoon shoots her arrow and steals the hunting point. Just like those God-end campers in PUBG, the enemy team decides not to let their resolve be shaken. Im Jae-wook is assigned to take care of Lee Na-yoon. He approaches to kill her, but she runs away with her speed. She starts toying around with him. All the players are trolls here, just like their owners. A Tom and Jerry chase begins between them, and Im Jae-wook cannot do anything except feel helpless since he is a slowpoke. Her speed is eating away at their sanity as they cannot touch her. During this chase, she is constantly shooting arrows, and once they end, she calls for more, using the power of Jo Sung-ho. The commentators further comment that Jo Sung-ho quickly became a core player within 3 months due to these teleportation powers. And considering the nature of his role in the dungeon, Jo Sung-ho can chill out for the entirety of the match as he lays down on a bedsheet reading Manhwa's mid-battle, making a complete mockery of the opponent team. Now, these are acts Soo Mun-yob would be proud of. A few weeks prior, during the YSM practice matches, Lee Na-yoon is flying high and mighty in her usual activities mid-match as she easily steals kills on the get-go. Soo Mun-yob deduces that they should not have a problem with Lee Na-yoon going into a game like this. But the problem lies with Jo Sung-ho, as he always needs help finding the perfect hiding place, as it might cause delays in providing the necessary supplies to Lee Na-yoon. So, they decided to make Nam-kun Jae-hoon the guard for Jo Sung-ho, since his protective ability will save both of them from dying mid-battle. Finally, the skinny maestro will have a better use. Since Jo Sung-ho might look pitiful hiding from enemies, Soo Mun-yob makes it funny by making him read Manhwa's mid-battle, and it for sure makes it look like a complete violation of the other team. Inside the game, a battle goes on before Jo Sung-ho as Nam-kun Jae-hoon fights against the baby trying to kill that beast. Jo Sung-ho lazes around like it's a feast. Himura does not have a care in the world, just turning pages here and there. The opposing team fans are frustrated at this humiliation. Anyone would be, though. Jo Sung-ho sends more arrows to Lee Na-yoon, while Soo and Mrs. Jae-ho laugh at the entire situation from the outside. Soo Mun-yob flexes that his skills are picking out talent like that. Mrs. Jae-ho also asks him to help her husband, to which he says he has already done plenty. He already told him to drop Shim Young-soo and replace him with Choi Hyuk as the tank. But Jae-ho is not doing what he is told to do. Mrs. Jae-ho adds that there is some friction regarding the Choi Hyuk matter, but she needs to learn the details. Soo decides to ask Jae-ho for the details later on. He only taunts him that he does not know how to be a good coach, which he does. Meanwhile, in the match, Lee Na-yoon is rounded up by more members of the Incheon BC. 5 players simultaneously try to kill her. While running away, Jo Sung-ho communicates with her to go to a specific route. She goes that way and finally starts to accelerate. While she is beginning to speed up, she thinks about how she just faced real dealers in a real game. And then she reminisces over the words of Sue and her captain that she will indeed be of utmost importance to the team. With that done, she starts hopping backward at high speeds, which reminds me of those moon rabbits in Japanese folklore, only mocking the others that they are too slow. 6 players try to attack her from the back as she runs away. She dodges and finally jumps off that particular rock. As she looks back, she is still being pursued. They know that leaving her free for more extended periods will increase the hunting points gap between them. And before they know it, the gap will be too broad. So, they will end it here and will not spare her. Lee Na-yoon is surrounded from all sides as she stands on the edge of the rock. She cannot even jump down from it. She starts acting so that she cannot jump down mockingly while sounding all jolly. The Incheon BC members are confused at this sight as they do not know what she is spewing. But that is where their gravestones are marked, and suddenly, a vast rock appears with 6 YSM members stuck on it. Lee Na-yoon trolls them back, saying they will not spare them, either. She mockingly winks at them with a kawaii face, and they begin a massacre on these rocky islands. The YSM players jump off the moving island, and now the YSM side, who have finished powering up, and the Incheon BC, who have lost their hunting time, are finally facing off. One by one, the standing players of the Incheon BC are killed off, and the remaining players who finally arrive cannot do much other than increase the opponent's kill count. And finally, YSM comes out victorious in the first set. What a story of redemption for the team. The lowest rated team for the longest time in the league has finally won its first set. The combination of Lee Na-yoon and Jo Sun-ho is one for the ages, as their duo is outshining others, and their tactics are one for the history books. People only look forward to seeing how they will perform together. As these two walk out, the crowd only chants their names as the 2 MVPs for the match finally prove their mettle on the big stage. Soo Moon-yob smiles and throws a thumbs up at Lee Na-yoon, talking about his words that he will indeed make her a core player. Lee Na-yoon smiles back at Soo Moon-yob with a sparkle in her eye. The first set ends with YSM coming out victorious after a brilliant display of skills. Incheon BC only started to fall apart rapidly, as even in the second set, their mentality was affected drastically as they also lost that set. YSM outclassed Incheon BC by winning both sets without a single death, and the MVP of the match is none other than our grasshopper diva, Lee Na-yoon. Lee is only grateful to Soo Moon-yob in the post-match presentation, as his advice made her do everything in the match. This victory also set the internet ablaze. Everyone is going wild. Every individual is in awe of Lee Na-yoon. But do not let it overshadow the efforts of the dark men at the back. Jo Sun-ho, the hero with a deliverance. This match ended up shooting these superheroes to fame. But the one who created this duo is catapulted to new heights, too. His insights reminded people that he was an absolute genius. The Pep Guardiola of Battlefield is in the house. A few days after the match at the Beck residency, Baek Jae-ho asks Soo Moon-yob if he really discovered the talent of Jo and Lee. Soo Moon-yob affirms that he would never eat away at the efforts of Dong-jun for his fame, and these two are his pupils. He then claims that his eyes are the eyes of God. So, Baek only asks if he can help with these in the national team, to which Soo tells Baek to convince Choi Hyuk to become the tank. But that adamant kid is not complying because he wants to play with a Taejuk mark on him. Seriously, Choi Hyuk is more stubborn than those nosy kids playing Tetris. The boss, Baek Jae-ho, further mentions that most of the Korean Battlefield coaches do not even like him. He is the national coach just because of his former glory. Yada yada yada. Soo Moon-yob only states that they will definitely stay silent in front of him when he, the self-proclaimed best coach of the century, walks in. They cannot say for crap, as he will beat them up. Out of the blue, Soo Moon-yob asks for the price of Choi Hyuk from Baek. Do not worry, it is for a transfer to the club, nothing naughty. The scene transitions to present 5 consecutive victories for YSM under his new leadership. The internet again goes wild over this news as the Soo Moon-yob effect occurs. Choi Dong-jun and Soo Moon-yob are sitting and celebrating this together. Choi cries tears of joy as he never thought the team would perform this well, considering the team never even had 3 wins in a row ever before. Now the rusty cannons have finally fired. But after the Miracle or the Wizard Canyon disaster, the internet has been filled inside out with May-yoon and her name, the fan clubs and simps going wild. Choi only tells Soo that it was due to his thinking this was happening. Soo Moon-yob takes a hit at Choi regarding his initial questions about running being effective in matches. Choi instantly apologizes as he now knows that Soo is the boss for a reason. Soo Moon-yob reminds Choi that now is not the time to rejoice, and now they need to think of measures against Jo Sung-ho. Most teams would have figured out how to bring him out of the equation. Choi replies that protecting Sung-ho would require some good tactics. Let us gift wrap Sung-ho and hide him somewhere. Even so, if Nam-kun Jae-hoon and No Young-hwan start getting better with training, LSM will not crumble that easily in the future. Soo Moon-yob is happy to see Choi Dong-joon confident in his team. With that said, he ordered to bring up the team winning rate to 50% by the end of the first half of the year. A gloomy, flustered aura overcomes him because he knows it is almost impossible, but hesitantly agrees. It is still similar to finding hay in a pile of needles. The team leader knows that it would have been impossible if it were the Hanjong Industries from before, but now it looks very achievable. Although Soo might look stubborn, he knows his words and actions are all calculated. The team leader owes his rise in battlefield to Hanjong Industries, as they are the ones who supported him throughout the way. And although the name has changed now, he will still work hard to repay their kindness. Now, Soo Moon-yob stops nagging and bullying Choi Dong-joon and stands up to address everyone. He announces that if they pull the team's winning rate to 50% before the end of the first half of the season, he will invest that much into the team since everyone is showing potential. With that said, Soo Moon-yob decides to leave the hall. Choi Dong-joon wishes him a safe trip home. But still, there is only one thing Soo Moon-yob is going to do: recruiting more, better players. This club is going to be renamed Manchester City real soon. Another problem is that if opponents aim for Jo Sung-ho instead of Lee Na-yoon, their tactics will go in the gutter. So if the team requires better resources for diverse strategies, there are so many checklists to be marked, but with never-ending problems. Or they could do 11 versus 11 practice matches within the team for improvements. Also, one thing to be noted is that they are not receiving applications because of the team's performance, but only because Soo Moon-yob is its owner. Simpson fans trying to apply from everywhere. But in the end, grabbing good players still remains a problem.